Yo, what's up? Welcome to the channel. This is Living in Alberta, and today we're going to look at the top 5 things you need to know when buying an acreage in Central Alberta. Hey, what's happening? My name is Kyle. Welcome to the channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. On this channel, we break down everything when it comes to moving to or living in Alberta. So if you do want to see more videos like this one, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell so you are notified every single week when a new video comes out. And if you would like any help with the real estate needs, I am a licensed realtor here in the province. You can use this information popping up. Get a hold of me any way you know how. Would love to hear from you. All right, let's get right in the video. All right, let's get right into it. I can't put this video off any longer. I've been getting asked this question a ton. So I thought I'd make this video for you guys. I hope it lives up to all your expectations. But let's kind of talk about the geography of Central Alberta and, depending on what you're looking for in an acreage, obviously the farther east you go towards the Saskatchewan border, it's going to be a little bit flatter with fewer trees, a little more prairies. As we move into the central area around Red Deer, a little bit more parkland with some prairies mixed in it. And the farther west we go, you're going to start seeing some more trees, some more valleys. And then eventually, obviously, on the western border, we finally get into the foothills and the mountains. Now, my main area is Red Deer and kind of the surrounding area. So I work a lot in Red Deer County, obviously, Lacombe County, Ponoka County, Clearwater County, a little bit farther east. I try to stay within an hour of Red Deer. But a lot of people are moving to this area for a number of reasons. So obviously, the cost of living is very attractive, the affordability of real estate. But I think one of the biggest reasons why people are moving here also is because it's such a great central location.
Wow, this is a great location.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
And I talk about this all the time, but that's what attracts a lot of people to this area. You're so close to Edmonton and Calgary, and you're so close to the mountains. We have Sylvan Lake in the area, so it's a super popular spot, and you can get into a very nice acreage with a decent amount of land for a really affordable price. All right, let's get right into 5 things I really think you should consider when buying an acreage. Let's talk about number 1, and it's super important, but it's the commute. So how close are you to different things? Do you need to be near a major center? Or is it okay to be near a smaller town that has a grocery store? How close do you need to be to hospitals? Because there are some towns that do not have hospitals. So if you are someone who maybe has some health issues and you're frequently traveling back and forth to a hospital, this could be a big decision. I see people buying acreages and homes all the time just based on the property. They're not factoring that in that commute. So this is super, super important, guys.
Think this over carefully.
It's also really important to figure out if the buses come to your acreage. Now, maybe you're going to be driving your kids back and forth every day. That's not a big deal to you. But if you do want your kids to take the bus, buses only travel on well-maintained county roads. So if you're down a private road or your road doesn't have bus access, then you're going to be stuck driving your kids back and forth every day.
Oh, come on!
I've heard of situations where people didn't look into this beforehand. Maybe their realtor didn't advise them properly and, they really wanted their kids to take the bus. Now, all of a sudden, they move in, they find out that the buses don't run there, and they have a 30 to 40 minute drive back and forth to school every day, before school, after school.
And that endless driving back and forth and back and forth.
Not a big deal in the summertime, although it's still a time sink and it's time consuming. But in the winter times, that can be a real pain in the ass because we all know that winter roads here in Alberta can get pretty sketchy. So super important to check with the school district. Make sure if you want your kids to take the bus that there are bus routes going to your acreage, and don't just buy the property based on the property. You have to take into factor the location. Again, that commute is super huge. You have to love the area. But you can't just buy a property just based on the house. All right, let's dive right into number 2. And there's going to be some extra costs when it comes to inspections when you are buying an acreage property. Now, obviously in town, we get our general property inspection. And disclaimer here, you can get as many inspections as you want. It's totally up to you. You can take it as far as you want. it all comes at a cost to you. But on acreages, there are definitely 2 more inspections that you're going to have to be getting, and it will be more expensive to purchase or put in an offer on an acreage.
Are you serious?
Deadly serious!
And guys, these are not optional. I mean, they are optional, but I think you're a fool if you don't get these inspections done.
You should take that offer.
And don't be an idiot.
So there's still the general property inspection. You want to get the house inspected, you want to get the garage inspected, but there's 2 other inspections that come when you are buying an acreage. You want to get the septic system inspected as well as the well. It is super important to get the well inspected by a licensed inspector. It's not cheap to put a new well. You want to make sure that the well is functioning properly. They're going to test the flow rate and the recovery rate, and they're also going to test the quality of the water. So you want to make sure that you're able to drink that water. Your insurance is also going to require something that says that the water is drinkable.
Can I drink this?
I don't think we can.
And there's some other things to consider when it comes to water when buying an acreage. So this doesn't come with inspections, but you want to know if it's a water co-op. Now, it doesn't happen very often. Basically, what a water co-op is you pay into the water co-op, and the water co-op decides how that water is going to be used. So I actually had a friend who lived on an acreage, and because she wasn't paying into the water co-op, there was actually a creek that ran through her pasture. And technically, because she wasn't paying into the water co-op, she wasn't allowed to use it to irrigate her field or her pasture, and her horses weren't allowed to drink out of it. I mean, good luck enforcing that.
This time I'm gonna make that horse drink.
But I got off on a little bit of a sidetrack there. That's not part of inspection. So you definitely want to get the well tested. And of course, you want to get the septic system tested. So in a nutshell, a septic system handles all the waste that comes out of your home. So just outside your home, there's going to be a septic tank. All the waste is going to come into that tank. It's going to be broken down. The sludge is going to settle down, and then they call it effluent. The clear stuff, the water that's left over, is going to be pumped out to a septic field, a septic mound, or an open discharge. Now, if the home that you're buying is 30 to 40 years old, that septic system could be near the end of its life. I've seen it a couple times now where we've put offers in on acreages, and there was the septic field was not good shape. The septic tank was leaking, and you're looking at $30,000 to $40,000 fix here.
That's just too much money. I can't afford that.
There's been a few instances where the buyer's like, nope, that's too much of a headache for me. I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to move on to another property. So super important to get these inspections done. It could save you a major headache and could save you some major costs moving forward. So do not skimp on the septic and the well and the property inspection. Bad idea, guys. All right, let's move right along to number 3. And I love this one because so many people don't consider this, but let's talk about the things that you didn't know you needed. Acreages are a lot of work. I live on an acreage myself. I have 11 acres. We have horses, we have dogs. We don't have cows. My father-in-law has cows that surround us though, but they are a lot of work. So maybe you're moving from the city or you're moving from a town where you just had a push mower, and that's great for a backyard, but now you have 2 to 3 acres to cut. That push mower isn't going to cut it anymore, guys. You're going to want to get a riding mower. I think on my acreage I might have 2 to 2.5 acres of grass to cut. If I had a push mower, that would take me literally all day to cut. It takes me a couple hours on my riding mower. So you're definitely going to want to invest in a riding lawnmower. And here's a little bit of pro tip for you. Make sure that you're not spitting rocks towards the house, or that you've gone through before you hopped on the lawnmower and you picked the rocks off your yard. My wife has put one through the bathroom window, and even though I laughed at her and called her a moron, I was mowing the lawn a couple weeks later and we hit a small rock, and I was at the farthest I could be away from the house along the fence, and actually put a hole right through my siding and right through the sheathing underneath. So super important not to hit any major rocks.
Idiot!
Now here's the next thing that people don't consider. Out in the country, you're gonna need a way to plow your driveway. Now, I moved out to my acreage about 6 years ago, 2017, whatever that is. I still don't have an option like a bobcat or a tractor to plow my driveway. I have to rely on my father-in-law, who lives just across the quarter section, and then my brother-in-law. My father-in-law has a tractor, my brother-in-law has a bobcat. So I'm lucky in that way. I haven't had to buy anything yet, although it's still a pain in the ass having to rely on somebody else to come clear your driveway. I guess living that close to your in-laws isn't as bad as people think it is, but there is some perks to having that close by. But you definitely are going to want to have something to plow your driveway. There's been many times where it's been a big snowfall, there's been heavy winds. I've had to throw my truck in 4x4 and gun it just to get out of my acreage. And I'll throw up some shots of my driveway right now, but my father-in-law actually just came a couple days ago and plowed it for us. But right before that, it was pretty sketchy driving in here. And that kind of brings me to my third point on things that you didn't know you needed, is your Honda Civic probably isn't going to cut it anymore.
This is not working.
Buy a brand new truck.
You're probably going to have to get a truck. Like I said, there's been many times where I had to throw it in 4x4 and gun it just to get out of my driveway. And the county roads too, it can take a little while for the graders to get out there. They can be a little bit sketchy as well. You're definitely going to want a truck if you're living on an acreage. And let's touch on one last thing in this section. Let's talk about internet. Now, people always ask me, because people are able to work remote now. So they're coming from the bigger centers. They want to get away from the hustle and bustle. They want to live on an acreage, but they're concerned about the internet. Now, really, the best option we have is asking the seller how good their internet is, but I'm not sure we're gonna get an honest answer when they're looking to sell their house to you.
The internet is down at the B&B and it is crazy slow here.
The internet is not going to be as good as living in the city, obviously. When I first moved to my acreage, I got a TELUS Smart Hub. It was really good. I was still able to satisfy my World of Warcraft addiction. Oh man, I'm so glad I'm over that game.
I am not playing that game anymore.
But it ended up starting to get really slow. There has been some new stuff that has come out with, I guess it's not new, but Elon Musk and his Starlink. I now have Starlink and it's phenomenal. So you do need a clear sky. You can't have a bunch of trees over top. And I'm pretty sure that it works in most areas. So that might be something that you want to consider. And by the way, I love Elon. I love the way he gives Trudeau the gears. But you might want to consider his Starlink internet. TELUS Smart Hub is a decent option as well. The old Internet Explorer, garbage. You're not going to want that. So just understand that your internet, it's not going to be as good as living in the city. There's just no way around that. All right, let's move right along to number 4, and let's talk about the zoning and the land use bylaws for the county that you're living in. Now, each county is going to be fairly similar, but there are going to be some variations from county to county, and they're going to have different land use bylaws and rules. So it's super important to understand these. You really want to know what the permitted and discretionary uses are. And like I said, it's going to vary from county to county. So it's super important to understand these. You know, for example, maybe it's own country residential and you're buying an acreage in Ponoka County and you thought you were going to buy a cow or you're going to have a horse on there, but you have less than 2.5 acres. It's not allowed. Or maybe you wanted to have a home-based business. Depending on the zoning, it might not be allowed. So you really want to look into this stuff. It's also really important to consider what's going on around you, what's going on around the acreages that surround your acreage. A lot of the times people have a big amount of land and they'll subdivide off a 5-acre parcel and they'll sell it as an acreage. But that land that surrounds you, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of crops potentially. Maybe you're someone who doesn't want to be near pesticides, but there's a huge crop. So every spring they're spraying pesticides around you.
Nothing hazardous other than some pesticides.
Maybe there's tons of cows and horses. Maybe that's not something that you're interested in. You don't want to live close by that. For example, in my acreage, my father-in-law had a quarter section. They gave my wife, this was her inheritance, so yeah, she made me sign a prenup.
I'm going to make you pay. Prenup or no prenup, I'll bleed you dry.
Oh my God. But we have a 10-acre parcel that was subdivided off for us, and surrounding us, there's not crops or farmland, but there's pasture. So my father-in-law has cows that roam all around our house, and I personally love it, but that may not be something that you're interested in. So it's super important to understand the zoning and land use bylaws for the county that you are thinking of buying an acreage in. All right, let's move along to the last one. And this one's a little bit more of a fun one. It's not necessary, but these are things that I think are advantageous to have. Advantageous, I think I said that right. But get some pets and get some toys. I'm a huge dog lover. I have I don't have 3 German Shepherds anymore. I only have 2 now. I actually had to put my oldest guy down at the beginning of October. Literally the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. That's actually a picture of him behind me. That's not even a picture, that's a painting. So if you want the number to that lady, you can't even tell that that's a painting. It looks like a real life photo. But anyways, I love dogs, I love animals, but I think it's relatively important to have dogs out in your acreage. It adds that extra layer of security. And, you know, it just alerts me to a lot of things. I know that people can't even get turned down our county road and get even remotely close to our driveway without my dogs barking and letting me know that they're there. I think too that dogs definitely deter some would-be opportunists from, you know, potentially stealing some stuff off your property. So obviously not a have to have, but I think dogs can make your acreage experience and just your feeling of security that much better. Now let's talk about cats. Man, I have a love-hate relationship with cats. I'm allergic to them, but I'm an animal lover, so I still love them. When I first moved out to my acreage, we did not have any cats, and my garage, thank God none got in the house, but my garage became overrun with mice. There was fucking mice shit everywhere.
If there's mice, I'm leaving.
Now I have 2 cats, Shitty Kitty and Sylvester, and there has not been a single mouse in my garage since. So it's super important to have cats to keep the mice down. And on a side note, cats are murderers. Those little buggers are killers. They just kill for sport. In the summertime when it's not cold, they go outside, they're killing birds, they'll find mice and they won't even kill them, they'll just torture them. Cats are sadistic little bastards, I'm telling you. But just learn to enjoy all that extra space that you're gonna have. Maybe get some toys. I know in the wintertime, we always head out skidooing. Actually, it's not called skidooing. I was talking to a fellow yesterday from Yellowknife and I told him how we go skidooing. Really funny. It's called snowmobiling. You don't go skidooing. He said you don't go Polarising, you go snowmobiling. So if anybody says that, I'm going to make fun of them from now on. I'm surprised that I never picked up on that before. But yeah, we go out all the time. We go snowmobiling out in the pasture. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of space out here. So I'm going to show you a shot from Thanksgiving of last year. You can do these kind of things. We have an acreage. We had a party at our house. We had all of our friends over for Thanksgiving, and everyone just brought their campers. So when they get shit-faced, nobody's got to drive home drunk. They can just stumble over to their camper, sleep right on the property. So really take advantage of all this extra space and the peace and quiet that you have. Get some horses maybe you get some chickens. There's lots of things you can do on acreage. I love acreage living. It's so much quieter than living in the city. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I've been getting asked to make this video for a really long time now, and I've been putting it off. If you did like it, hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Definitely click the notification bell. And of course, if you would like any help with any real estate needs, or you just have any questions at all, use this information popping up. Get a hold of me any way you know how. All right, I will see you guys next week. Cheers.